Sugurat Samuel is working as professor in physics in SRM University, Chennai. He is also training students for IIT JEE, AIEEE, and BITSAT. He has more than 16 years of academic experience both in teaching and research. He has published a book titled The Complete Handbook of Bachelor of Electronic Science Practicals. It is prescribed book in the syllabus for BSc Electronic Science by University of Madras. He has attended and presented papers in several national and international conferences and conducted many training programs and workshops. He has experience in both regular classroom teaching and also online teaching. His research areas are ultrasonics, polymers, crystal growth, and photovoltaic systems.
Welcome to UGC lecture series for BSc Honours in Physics. We are going to see a series of lectures on the topic oscillations and waves, which is making part of the second semester paper number 6. And this is the first lecture in the series. So, let us see the introduction for oscillations and waves. We have come across in life lots of motions, different types of motions we see in day-to-day life. For example, a linear motion, the motion in a straight line, a curved motion, motion in a curved path, or we call that as curvilinear motion, circular motion, vibratory motion, random motion. Like that, different types of motions we come across. For each type of motion, we can quote lots of examples. When we drop a object from a particular point in space, it directly moves down due to Earth's gravitational pull, and it is a motion in straight line. And similarly, at an angle when we throw an object, it takes a curved path. In particular, it takes the path of a parabola. And for rotational motion, we have lots and lots of examples, like a point that is considered on a wheel that goes round and round. So, it is an example for circular motion. Even we have elliptical motion. The planets in the solar system, they all move in elliptical paths. So, it is the example for elliptical motion. And in this lecture, we are going to see a particular type of motion, and we call that as oscillatory motion. Simply we say it is an oscillatory motion, but there are lots of technicalities involved in an oscillatory motion. The oscillatory motion is also called vibratory motion. So, we are going to see the science behind oscillatory motion in this lecture, and what is the reason for oscillation, what are the terms that are involved in the oscillatory motion, what are the importance of those terms, and what are the applications of learning the science behind oscillatory motion. So, all this we are going to see in this particular lecture series. And let us see today's session outline. This is the first lecture. So, let us see the outline of this lecture. In this lecture, we are going to learn different types of motion, and especially oscillatory motion with examples, types of oscillatory motion, simple harmonic oscillation, different terminologies involved in oscillatory motion, and if possible we will see even the equation for oscillatory motion. We have seen the types of motion in the introductory part itself, and also we have seen the examples for each type of motion, and there are some motions which we have not mentioned in the introduction. So, they also form part of the type of motion, and in particular we are going to learn the oscillatory motion in this lecture, What does that mean? Is there any technical definition for oscillatory motion? Let us have a look at the typical definition for oscillatory motion. Any to and fro motion, or we call the to and fro motion as back and forth motion with respect to a mean position, is called oscillation or oscillatory motion. So, it is simply a to and fro motion or back and forth motion. The mean position is called equilibrium position. All measurements like displacement, velocity, acceleration, force, etc. are to be made with respect to the mean position. Oscillation is also sometimes called as vibration. So, three terms we have come across here. Mainly the to and fro motion is oscillation, and another important thing is the mean position. It is happening with respect to the mean position. The third important aspect is all the measurements are done with respect to the mean position or equilibrium position. Why it is called equilibrium position? The mean position is called equilibrium position. There is a reason. The reason we will see in the course of the lecture. At this point, we need to give importance to one important thing. Why the measurements are done with respect to the mean position? When we look at the terms that the quantities which we have mentioned, the displacement, velocity, acceleration, force, etc. all these are vector quantities. So, they have meaning only when we attach the direction for the quantities. So, they are all measured with respect to the mean position. And if we want to give example for oscillatory motion, there is no end for it. Lots of things are oscillating around us. For example, a mass that is attached to a spring and made to move will definitely execute an oscillatory motion. And also a pendulum, that is also a good example for oscillatory motion. So, let us quickly have a look at the clipping how an oscillation is happening in these two examples we quoted right now. A spring mass system, a simple pendulum. When we carefully observe the way in which the motion is happening, and as rightly we said, let us quickly take the simple pendulum for our understanding. The to and fro motion is happening with respect to a mean position. I am keeping the pointer of my mouse static at one point. So, that could be the mean position, and with respect to this mean position, the bob is moving to and fro. Similarly, this mass is moving back and forth. Here it is vertical. So, this might be the mean position where I keep the mouse might be the mean position. So, with respect to that mean position, the motion is happening. It is up and down motion, and in these motions there is a force involved. For any body which is changing the direction or changing the position requires a force acting on it. And how is the force acting here? That we are going to learn in detail, and let us see the types of oscillation before that. The types of oscillation can be mentioned as periodic or harmonic oscillation. In this category, the motion repeats in equal intervals of time, and another category is non-periodic or non-harmonic oscillation. In this, the motion does not repeat in equal intervals of time. When the motion is repeating at equal intervals, it is harmonic or periodic. If it does not happen in equal intervals of time, then it is non-periodic or non-harmonic. Sometimes we call that as aperiodic oscillation. That means there is no time sequence involved in that, it is happening at random. And when we say it is periodic motion, periodic oscillation is different, periodic motion is different. Sometimes it appears as if a circular motion is happening with respect to uniform time period and it is repeating if the time period is constant for a circular motion, we call that as periodic motion only. It is not periodic oscillation. Why a circular motion is not called periodic oscillation? Because though there is a specific time period involved in repeating the motion, there is no to and fro motion happening in circular motion. Circular motion is happening in one particular trend, either clockwise or anti-clockwise continuously. So, it is just a circular motion, it is not oscillatory in nature. And what we have to see in an oscillatory motion is the mean position. The variation in the position should happen with respect to a particular point. The to and fro motion should happen with respect to a particular point. That point is called mean position, and it is also called equilibrium position. When we give importance to the force that is responsible for this oscillation, the concept of equilibrium we will understand why it is called equilibrium. And now let us see the reason for oscillation. For all oscillations to occur, there is a need for restoring force acting opposite to the direction of displacement, or in particular directed towards the mean position. Let us take the spring mass system which is kept in a horizontal way, and let us assume the mass is just moving on a flat surface which does not have any friction, and this is marked as the equilibrium position, the dotted line, and the mass is displaced to the right. That means the displacement x is to the right, and in what way the spring will exert force on the mass? It will exert force on the mass to the left. The displacement is to the right, the force is to the left. But when you look at the diagram, both are measured with respect to the mean position. Here with respect to the mean position, it is to the right. The force, though it is marked on the right hand side, but it is pointed to the left. So, force is to the left with respect to the mean equilibrium position. So, that is why we call the force as restoring force. Then what made this mass move to the right? It is a good question. Initially, there might be a deforming or a force which would initiate the displacement, that would create a kind of displacement that is not taken as the part of the system. It is happening in the initial, but after that, even if the deforming force which deformed the spring, if that is removed, after that it is left alone, then the spring will exert a force on the mass, and it is between the mass and the spring to exchange the energies between them. And when we consider the force, it is always pointed towards the equilibrium and it is opposite to the displacement. What will happen if the mass is compressed with respect to the spring? If the spring is compressed and the mass is moved to the left hand side, let us have a look at the diagram. It is not drawn in the diagram, but for the explanation sake, if the mass is if the spring is compressed, if the mass is pulled to the left, then the displacement is on the left hand side, and in this case the force will be towards the right, because the spring will restore, it will push the mass out. So, if both are put together, what we see in common is the displacement and the force are opposite to each other. That is the thing we learned here. And when the displacement is not there, then the body will be in the equilibrium position. Only when there is an when there is a displacement, there is a restoring force acting on the mass. And what is the need for the restoring force, and what is it what is the equation governing this oscillation? We will see the concept of the restoring force in detail after a short break. Welcome back. We stopped at the terminology called restoring force. For the oscillation to continue, we need a restoring force which is to act opposite to the direction of displacement and towards the mean position. And now we have a special type of oscillation called simple harmonic oscillation, and actually in the entire topic we will be restricting ourselves to the simple harmonic oscillation only. We will not take any random oscillation, we will not take any peculiar kind of oscillation into our study. We take a particular kind of oscillation called simple harmonic oscillation. So, the word harmonic means it is periodic. The oscillation will repeat in equal intervals of time. Why the word simple is used? Let us have a look at the explanation. A particle is said to execute simple harmonic motion if the restoring force, in other words the acceleration, is directly proportional to the displacement from a fixed point and it is always directed towards that particular point. The force, restoring force and the displacement are opposite. So, here the minus sign is introduced only to show the force and the displacement are oppositely directed. These two are vector quantities. Here these two are considered as vector quantities, and we know very much the force is nothing but mass multiplied with acceleration. So, the force is written as ma, and what is k here? The k is called spring constant. This equation is a very familiar equation for us. When we learned about the springs, we have already learnt about this equation and it is called spring constant, and the k is referred as toughness of the spring. If the k value is very high, then the spring is very tough to deform. So, spring constant is otherwise called as the force required for unit displacement, because k can be written as F divided by x. So, it is the deforming the force exerted by the spring for unit displacement is called spring constant. So, we can write the equation in a modified way and write the acceleration is proportional to x. Here k is spring constant, which is constant for the spring, and m is the mass, which is also constant. So, either the force is proportional to the displacement and directed opposite to the displacement, or we can take the acceleration is proportional to the displacement and it is directed opposite to the acceleration. So, in this case the oscillation is said to be simple harmonic in nature. The word simple here says it is simple relation. F is directly proportional to the displacement x. The displacement is a very simple quantity as far as the oscillation is concerned. The change in position, that is displacement. So, the change in position or the displacement, that is proportional to the restoring force. Greater the displacement, greater is the restoring force. So, if a spring is extended further and further, the restoring force is also increasing accordingly. This is a very simple relation relating the force, restoring force and the displacement. That is why it is called as simple harmonic oscillation. And when we learn much more things about the type of motion, we will come across this motion is periodic in nature. That is why it is simple harmonic motion. The graphical representation of an oscillation, especially the simple harmonic motion, could be understood by having a look at the two diagrams. And here a spring mass system is made to oscillate. The mass is oscillating. Fictitiously, if we suppose attach a marker and make the marker move on a moving paper, it is just an imagination and we will get definitely this kind of shape. So, that is what is called a graphical representation. From the mean position, the displacement, the change in position is increasing in a particular way, and in the x axis we take time and in the y axis we have taken displacement, and it is varying in this particular manner. And here the t is called time period. We will see the terminologies in the later clippings, and the maximum displacement here is called amplitude. So, this is one such oscillation, and if the oscillation is continuously happening, this shape will repeat itself. Now, let us have a look at the terminologies involved in oscillation, and these are the most often used terminologies. Time period, it is the time taken to complete one oscillation, it is measured in seconds. Frequency, the number of oscillations happening per second, it is measured in second power minus 1 or hertz. Amplitude, the maximum displacement, it is measured in meter. Phase, it is the angular position of the displacement, it is measured in radian. And these are the most occurring terminologies. Apart from that, we will also have the terminologies like velocity, acceleration, force, energy, etc. Those terminologies we will learn after we develop some equations. And this is the relation between the time period and frequency. The time period is inverse of frequency. So, time period is measured in second and the frequency is measured in per second, second power minus 1. For second power minus 1, we have a new quantity called hertz. It is also the second power minus 1 is called as hertz. Let us have a look at the units. The unit of time period is second, unit of frequency is per second or second power minus 1. The second power minus 1 is also called hertz in honor of the scientist Hertz, who first developed the electromagnetic oscillations. Now, let us keep one point in mind. The simple harmonic oscillation is periodic in nature, but all periodic motions need not be simple harmonic in nature. Let us ponder over these two statements. Now, we are going to quickly see the equation governing the simple harmonic motion. We have already started some equations. Let us continue from it. Force is proportional to displacement. This we have already come across. So, it is modified to acceleration. So, these equations we have already seen. Now, let us define a quantity omega, which is also later on called as the angular frequency, and let us take this k divided by m as the root of that quantity as omega. So, now this equation is modified as a is equal to omega square x with a minus value, and this acceleration is rate of change of velocity. So, it is dv by dt, and our aim is to get an expression for velocity. That is why we introduce the term velocity here. The dv by dt can be written as dv by dx and again dx by dt by chain rule, and finally we separate the v value and x value on the two sides of the equation, and at this point we can make use of the tool integration. So, when we integrate the two sides with the fixed limits, we get this expression for the velocity. V is equal to omega square root of a square minus x square. Here we have not yet defined what is a. A is obtained in this manner. Here x naught is the initial position, v naught is the initial velocity, omega is the angular frequency. About angular frequency we need to learn a lot more. We will come across that in the later lectures. Now, the velocity can be written as dx by dt, rate of change of position. So, we write it again in this manner, separate the x terms and the time dt terms. Once again it is ready for integration. Let us here integrate it with fixed limits, initial position to final position x and initial time as 0 and final time t, and this is a standard integration. The integrand, when we integrate it, we get sine inverse of x by a as the value, and when we apply the limits, and here also omega dt, when we apply the limits, we finally end up getting x is equal to a sine omega t plus delta. So, we have used the tool called integration or calculus to arrive at the equation for simple harmonic motion. We have just like that run through the derivation part, because it is just the integration or the calculus part. It can be done with a paper and pen leisurely with the concept just now we have seen, but the final expression is very important. X is equal to a sine omega t plus some delta. Here delta has got a meaning. It is called phase or the angular position. We will get the meaning of angular position when we look at the diagrams, but right now we have given an analytical treatment for the wave equation, the oscillation, the equation for oscillation. Analytical treatment means the mathematical method by which we have arrived at x is equal to a sin omega t plus delta. Let us see the equation once again. X is equal to a sin omega t plus delta. Here a is the amplitude, that is the maximum displacement, and omega is angular frequency, and delta is the initial phase angle, which is obtained from the simplification as x naught divided by a. Here x naught is the initial position, a is the amplitude. So, it has got a separate meaning. This analytical treatment has given us the equation for oscillation. What is called the equation for oscillation? The equation governing the position x. For x, what we write is called the equation of the simple harmonic oscillation. And here we have a term called delta. The delta is initial phase angle. As I said, the phase angle is measured in terms of radian. If the radian, the initial phase value is, let us say for example, pi by 2, pi divided by 2. What will happen? What expression we will get? If the initial phase angle is pi by 2, delta is pi by 2, we get sin 90 plus theta is cos theta. So, based on the trigonometric equation, we get either sin omega t or cos omega t as the equation for simple harmonic oscillation. We have highlighted the two equations so that at a later stage we can take any one of the equation and discuss about the different quantities like velocity, acceleration, force, energy, etc. So, quickly we have done an analytical treatment for the oscillation from the concept of restoring force and arrived at the equation for oscillation. We will give another treatment called rotatory motion, and the projection of the rotatory motion will also give the same equation what right now derived. We will learn that in the following lectures. So, at this point let us see the summary for today's lecture. In this session we have seen the different types of motion, especially the oscillatory motion and examples for oscillatory motion, types of oscillatory motion like periodic and non-periodic, then simple harmonic motion where the restoring force is found to be proportional to the displacement and directed opposite to it. Different terminologies involved like time period, amplitude, phase and frequency, and finally the equation for oscillatory motion. And let us test our understanding of what we have learnt by answering these questions. What is oscillatory motion? What are harmonic and non-harmonic oscillations? What is the condition for an oscillation to be simple harmonic oscillation? Define the terms time period, frequency, amplitude and phase. Derive the equation for simple harmonic oscillation. So, with this we wind up the first lecture on the topic oscillations and waves and continue to see much more concepts in the subsequent lectures. Thank you.